What's up? It's your boy ET. Look, if you're looking to or you got to raise the bar on your marriage, you gotta click the link and get into Married and the Crazy, y'all. I'm telling you, this coaching is gonna take your relationship to another level. Now look, you already know you need to raise the bar. You know that already. So stop thinking or overthinking. Click that link, and Marriage and the Crazy is gonna take you and your spouse to marital bliss. Now you know. Click the button. Let's go.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Married and Crazy podcast. This is Snooks. I'm by myself today. So I'm just going to be real brief. I just kind of want to talk about something that's kind of been on my mind. You know, as couples, we know that there's conflict. We get into it with each other. Sometimes we don't agree. And a lot of times when we say that we are willing to do whatever to make our relationship work, we're really not willing to do everything that's required to make the relationship work. And the thing I'm talking about is forgiveness. um, that seems to be a topic that keeps coming up. As you guys know, we are married and crazy. We are coaches, couples coaches, and that's one thing that a lot of our couples struggle with is the forgiveness piece of dealing with things that have happened in their relationship. Sometimes it's in the marriage, sometimes it's before they got married or whatever, but we seem to stumble and struggle when it comes to being able to forgive each other. So I think one of the myths too about forgiveness is that if I forgive you, then that means that I'm okay with what you did. And not necessarily that everyone says it like that, but it's kind of like an undertone. I feel like you think that if you forgive that person, that means you condone the hurtful or the harmful behavior, and that's not the case. Forgiveness is not for the other person. I remember my mom saying that to me before. You don't forgive someone for them, you forgive them for you. And I was like, that makes no sense. But as I got older, I realized what she was talking about. There are a lot of things that unforgiveness can do to you. It's very harmful. You talk about it, it promotes anxiety, it keeps resentment, there's bitterness sometimes. And those are the things that create stress, anxiety, and they attack you physically. So sometimes you're sick because of the unforgiveness, which is caused by, well, the stress that is caused by a lot of the unforgiveness. But forgiveness is when we're talking about doing everything within our power to make sure that our relationship is working. Forgiveness is a normal part of healing. I know that there are some indiscretions that couples do, or someone in a couple has done, and it's hard to move on from that. I'm not saying that that's going to be easy or anything like that, but if you made the decision to stay in the relationship, you have got to also make the decision to be forgiving. You have to be able to forgive that person. Like I said before, it doesn't mean that you condone the bad or the harmful, hurtful behavior. That just means that you're willing to deal in the healing process. One thing about forgiveness that we can, one step, I should say, in forgiving another individual is understanding their perspective. So, we talk about exercising empathy, and empathy is putting yourself in another person's, your partner's shoes, seeing where they're coming from, where their perspective is. And sometimes when we do that, it can make you give pause, be like, oh, okay, so I understand, why you did this, or I get why you operated that way. So it gives you that different perspective, will give you just something else to think about, and it can help you to, now you're not, maybe not seeing them so much as the villain. And again, it's all situational. It really does depend on what happened. But again, if you're in a relationship and something terrible has happened and you feel like you want to work it out, forgiveness is part of the equation. There's no getting around working the relationship out if you are not willing to forgive that person. And then also think about, you know, you guys have to define what forgiveness is. What does that look like? For me, if I did something wrong, I don't want you to ever talk about it again. You know, I'm like, okay, you forgave me for it, so don't ever bring it up. Or, you know, you have to decide how you guys, what does that look like in your relationship, that forgiving piece. So that would be something that you have to sit down and have a conversation about. It's about opening up communication. You have to be able to be willing to, I should say, you have to be willing to talk. You know, communication is always is key. Um, Being able to talk and really verbalize what you're feeling, how it made you feel, and if, when we're talking about how something made you feel, make sure you're talking about the problem, not the person. Because I could say, you made me feel this way. No, when you did this, because now I'm not attacking that person. I'm saying the action that that person did. It's the action that hurt me. So decide on, again, conversation. You guys decide what forgiveness looks like for you, because everyone's forgiveness is totally different. Like I said, if you forgive me, you can't bring it up again. That's just me. um you know, of course sometimes you may bring it up, but you can't weaponize the forgiveness either. You can't say, oh yeah, I forgive you, but then as soon as they do something, you're like, oh, because remember when, you know, and that's why. You can't, that's not, is that really forgiving them? No, that's kind of, for me, it sounds manipulative, you know. I understand hurt feelings and stuff like that. I remember when you know, we talk about year 4, when I asked for a divorce, and if I was not able to forgive Lovey, and if he was not able to forgive me, we wouldn't be where we are now. We know that forgiveness helped us move forward. That doesn't mean that it was easy. It didn't mean that it came overnight, but we were able to get past the hurt because we were willing to forgive each other. And being willing to forgive, that will open up for more trust, that can create more intimacy. The things that you're looking for in a relationship, those things will come after the healing process, but there will be no healing if there is no forgiving. So that's something that, like I said, it was just something that's been coming up, and this is going to be a real short one, obviously. But just wanted to make sure that when we talk about we're willing to do everything in our power, that we put forgiveness up there, because without forgiveness, we won't go anywhere. And we have to be willing to forgive. The thing about it is too, we all do things that hurt another person. Sometimes it may be intentional, sometimes it's not intentional. The fact remains that we are human, and sometimes we have bad behavior. We want people to forgive us when we do something that is wrong or hurtful or whatever. We want the forgiveness, but if we're asking for forgiveness, we also have to be willing to forgive. We can't hold grudges forever and say, well, I remember when you did. And no, I mean, learn a lesson from whatever happened, but don't weaponize the art of forgiveness, because that actually can turn around and bite you too. So just wanted to kind of do a little real quick one just on forgiveness. Let's be willing to forgive each other, because we are human. And the biggest part too is, if you say you're willing to do everything in your relationship, you have got to be willing to forgive the other person. There's no getting around it. So you guys be blessed, be safe, and I'll see you next week. Well, we'll see you next week. Okay, bye bye.